Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have another update on the College Football 25 video game now coming out in less than a month. There's been some major stuff. I do want to touch on the stadium, crowd dynamics, the brand new stuff there. We also do have some ratings as well when it comes to team offenses, as well as some new photos that have been released on the stadiums. But the big thing that I saw, you can see they are going to be implementing dynamic attendance. A new feature to help bring more authenticity into the game revolves around attendance levels in the stadium to help paint a better picture. Here's a great example of one of our team members who was playing a dynasty with Florida International. During the first couple of games, the stands were not very full, which resulted in a lower home field advantage stadium pulse. And the thing is, they talk about the stadium pulse. It's more so just to be accurate. Like, you're talking about Temple playing at Lincoln Financial Field. If you're going to be accurate with it, the entire upper deck should be empty because it always is. It's just like UNLV playing at Allegiant Stadium. The upper deck is always closed during every one of their home games. So it's not even like, oh, you get a little boost with a stadium pulse. It's more so it's just accurate to do something like that. I will say it would be hilarious to play a dynasty as UNLV and like build them into one of the best teams in college football, win a few championships, and then Allegiant Stadium, which is an NFL stadium, it's brand new, home of the Raiders. Imagine selling it out for every game. I just think that'd be funny. Also, you got the Alamo Dome. There's going to be a lot of interesting stadiums in this game. And then the other thing with Ryan Field, there were new renderings that came out right when they broke ground on the new Ryan Field. The old one has been fully demolished. They will be using, unfortunately, the old stadium that's already been demolished in this game, from what I heard. And they're not going to be using the temporary, funny Lake Michigan Stadium, which is like right next to the lake. It's pretty hilarious with some temporary seating. So that's a little disappointing. I do wonder, we'd like to see Wrigley Field because we know Northwestern plays some games at Wrigley Field. It'd be sweet if you could have that option to schedule a game or two if you're Northwestern, have it hosted at Wrigley Field. I'm going to get more into the stadiums, things like that in a second, but you can see when it comes to Florida International, obviously they're one of the worst teams in college football, so you want to build them up in a dynasty. Once he had a big win on the road at Indiana, and the team record was 7-0, the stands started becoming more full. So you build the team up more and more and more, and your attendance will increase, your home field advantage will increase, which makes total sense. It is very nice that they're doing that in terms of making it realistic. Not every game is your generic sellout, or even if they had like 3/4 full for a lot of these stadiums, that would not be realistic. A lot of the lower tier group of 5 teams do not have good attendances, and also teams that play at NFL stadiums. Like take Miami, for example, the Hurricanes, when they're playing, one of their early season games against Bethune-Cookman or whoever, you should be seeing a lot of empty seats, at least until, Miami gets built up into a legit powerhouse, and then you can sell out every game at Hard Rock Stadium. But that would be more realistic. And then the other thing that I am waiting on is to see if you can customize the stadium in terms of, like, take for example, maybe adding a retractable roof. Maybe there's like 5 different retractable roof options you can choose from. You can add a retractable roof to Ohio Stadium or Michigan Stadium. I think that would be pretty cool. I highly doubt they'll do that. But the big thing is, what are the new stadium options? Because we've seen with Madden, when it comes to relocation or expansion, getting an expansion team, you get these 5 stadium options. It's been the same thing for over a decade. They haven't changed it. When it comes to college football, will they give you potential new stadium options, or at least the ability to expand your capacity and do some type of huge renovation to your current stadium? Because take, for example, like Bowling Green. Right now they're in the MAC. They're terrible. Let's say you build them up. You win the MAC 3 straight years. You make the playoff. You get to the national title. You get elevated to the Big Ten. And it's like you're a national powerhouse, but you're playing at a stadium that has the capacity of 25K. And is there no, potential upgrade that you can get for the stadium, or get a brand new stadium that maybe seats 50K or 60K or 100K? There should be like different options in terms of potentially getting a new stadium, or at least upgrading to where you can expand your own stadium. Now, I don't think they're going to do an expansion type thing where you can renovate it, because it would be really custom and it would be dependent on the stadium. More so, it's just going to be like a generic, maybe like you can get a new stadium if your team reaches a certain threshold or something like that. That's what I would imagine in terms of that idea with the stadiums. And then we also did have the release of the offenses. These are the offensive ratings right now in college football 25. You do have Georgia and Oregon at 94 overall. I mean, they're definitely in a league of their own when it comes to offense. Carson Beck returning, Dylan Gabriel, he's got all that experience. It's not all that surprising. Alabama and Texas sitting at 91. Both of them have returning QBs, so they really went with, the returning QBs, you're going to have a higher rating. And then at 89, you have Ohio State in the same tier with Miami, Colorado. Colorado being there is kind of funny. Someone had a tweet. They were like 99th in offense, but they're 9th in this game in terms of their offense. LSU, breaking in a new QB. I'm sure last year LSU would have been like a 96 on offense. And then Missouri at an 89 as well. Clemson at an 87. Kind of surprising they're that high. I would definitely have Clemson's defense as ultra elite, but the offense, you do also have Ole Miss, as well as Utah, Arizona. I just think Arizona's better on offense than Utah. Having them as the exact same rating, I don't know. NC State's going to surprise some people this year. So is Kansas. Kansas is a good team, and they have a really good offense. I might have them as the number one offense right now in the Big 12. In fact, I would. And then you do also have Penn State at an 87. I think that's more of a defensive team as well. Notre Dame down into an 85. Kind of interesting considering they're probably going to be a preseason top 10 team. SMU, they've got an easy schedule. They should be a pretty good team. UCF and Memphis, so a group of 5 team. Yeah, Memphis is going to be one of the favorites to get that group of 5 auto bid into the playoff. And then you do also have Texas A&M, 83, FSU all the way down. Virginia Tech could surprise some people, returning QB, dual threat. Also USC. I would have USC higher just based on Lincoln Riley, but there is very limited QB experience, but I think they should be higher. And then Oklahoma as well at an 83. So those are just the ratings there. And then they also, like a few hours later, released the defensive rankings. No surprise, Ohio State number 1. They returned basically everyone on defense. You get Caleb Downs as well. It's understandable. 96 overall. You do have Georgia at a 94 overall. I think that basically guarantees Georgia's going to be the number 1 team in this game. Ohio State probably will be too. Maybe Oregon. It just depends the value and the weight they put on offense versus defense. But I would imagine Georgia's going to be number 1. Ohio State's going to be number 2. You're going to be hearing a lot of that going into August. Pretty much, I think everyone's going to have that ranking 1 and 2. And then maybe Oregon 3. In this game, you do have Oregon at a 90 in terms of their defense. You've got Alabama also at a 90, Clemson at a 90, Notre Dame at a 90, Michigan at a 90. Michigan does have a good number of high-profile draft talent on the defensive side of the ball. Texas at an 88, Penn State at an 88. Really no surprises here. I think these are pretty well done in terms of the defense. Utah, FSU, Oklahoma, Iowa at an 88. People will be mad about that. Iowa should be like a 93, 92. In terms of talent, I understand it's based off of talent, and their composite talent normally overachieves. So I guess it is understandable. Virginia Tech is really liked in this game. So they're top 25 on offense and defense. I wonder if they will be ranked inside of the 25 in terms of the preseason poll. Wisconsin always has a good defense. USC, that's just based off of talent. Talent has them there because they're a because they are Southern California. They're going to get their fair share in terms of NIL, nice weather. It's not just going to be offense, even though Lincoln Riley obviously is an offensive coach and they've been terrible on defense recently. Auburn, you could certainly argue Auburn should be a little bit higher. I mean, at least higher than like USC. You do also have LSU, who was horrible on defense last year, but they certainly have the talent. A&M, they had some of their kids transfer out, but they've got a lot of talent. Colorado at number 20 in terms of defense. I don't know about that. Oklahoma State at 21, Louisville at 22, and then you can see rounding out North Carolina, Kansas State, and Florida. So when it comes to the updates on this game, I would imagine more and more news will trickle out. I thought there was going to be a big dump on the Dynasty mode at some point. They did release like mock ratings when it comes to the Ultimate Team, which I really don't care about. I'd rather them talk about Dynasty mode, and particularly like the interface when it comes to Dynasty mode. What do the recruiting rankings look like? How is that done? How do you offer scholarships? Everything like that. That's what I would like to see personally. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.